What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cold Takes from the Land.
Cold Takes from the Land, where you get the coldest takes from the hottest Cleveland sports fans.
And we're hot, buddy. We are hot.
Wooing!
Jesus.
We did it, babe!
He's overblowing his mic. That sounded funny. But we're in the playoffs, buddy. How about it?
Hell yes, we are, just as we predicted, buddy.
Yes.
11-5, about to be 12-5 after this week.
Yeah, very much could be, for sure. I'd say the old Brownies had just absolutely clapped the New York Jets on Thursday Night Football for the last Thursday night game of the year. Joe Flacco, man, he's just out here making shit happen.
Yeah, he's the GOAT, buddy. I've decided he's the best of all time.
Yeah, who the fuck's Tom Brady?
Yeah, hey, he's done. It's not about him anymore. It's not about the past. This is about the future.
It's about old Flo Jacko over here, out here throwing piss missiles in the backyard.
Yeah, no kidding, man. His arm looks insane for even like being in his division. Basically, his entire career, I don't ever remember his arm looking this good.
Yeah, I mean, he always like had a huge arm, but you can he's just playing very free. Like, I'm looking at the stats, and fucking like Deshaun Watson averaged 185.8 yards a game, 6.5 yards an attempt. PJ Walker averaged 112 yards a game, 6 yards per pass attempt, and DTR, he only says 55 yards a game, but I think that's including more than his starts. But only 3.9 yards per pass attempt, whereas Joe Flacco's already got 1,616 yards. He's averaging 320 yards a game, and he's averaging 8 yards a pass attempt. So he's out there ripping it.
And he only threw 29 times this game because they controlled the possession pretty well in the second half. So he was 19 of 29 for 309 yards, almost all of which came in that first half. I think he had 296 in that first half. So with a whopping 13 yards or whatever it was in the second half, that put him over 300 for the day.
Yeah, obviously the second half was very slow and boring in terms of offense because it was just kind of holding on to the lead, and then you really felt it once Elijah Moore got hurt because we were already down Cooper, and even though Njoku was having a really good game, he cooled off a bit in the second half, and when Tillman has to be the number one and Marquise Goodwin's the number two, you could definitely see it because the guys just weren't getting open, but it's not a super big worry for me because obviously we were missing our top two guys.
Yeah, me either. I just hope that Elijah Moore's healthy there. I mean, he took a pretty bad hit there. Looks like he went down on his head, and then he was kind of convulsing a little bit. So I just hope it's not a thing that keeps him out for an next period of time.
Yeah, hopefully not. That would definitely suck, and obviously you want to wish him well in terms of his health. But
I was just saying online, a lot of people on Twitter were kind of thinking there's a good chance he doesn't play the rest of the season, him being Elijah Moore. So if that is the case, do you think we go out and sign somebody, or do you think we roll with what we have currently?
I was just going to ask you that because there's the camp that is all like, let's go get Jarvis or Rashard Higgins or whoever else free agent. Sammy Watkins, I know, is still out there. Will Fuller might still be out there. I'm not sure. But with the way this team has been rolling, I would assume they would just stay in-house. I'd imagine they would bring up Austin Watkins again onto the active roster, and assuming Cooper's healthy, I think they would just probably roll with Cooper, Tillman, David Bell, and Marquise Goodwin, which, I mean, Elijah Moore hasn't been the most insanely productive guy this year, but I feel like his absence for just that slot role he plays, his ability to open in the middle of the field, and his rapport he has with Joe Flacco, you definitely don't want to miss that in the playoffs. So I'm hoping.
No, and it sucks that he's started to come on a little bit in the second half of the season. I mean, he was having a hell of a game. 5 catches for, I think it was a little over 60 yards, and that one nice touchdown on the out route from Flacco. So it just sucks that it happens at a time like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here's to just hoping, it's not as bad as originally hoped, and he can just sit out this week and recover and be okay. So we could be healthy because God knows we need to be as healthy as we can be with already how injured we are. It's already quite improbable where we're at. I mean, we really couldn't afford to lose anybody else.
No, yeah, it's gotten to the point now where it's like the backups of the backups are already playing. So if you lose any more, then I don't think we have much depth left to use.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just hope we can get as healthy as we can. But let's try to keep in the positive, at least thinking about this past performance. The offense was firing in all cylinders. As we already talked about how good Joe Flacco's been. But we kind of touched on it. I said something there for a second, but David Njoku is like really, 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 really come on in these last like 4 or 5 games. And to me, we were talking about it at work, I feel like he's like hovering around the fifth or sixth best tight end in the league for me, at least this year. Especially, I think he's really solidified that over these recent few games.
Yeah, he's been a monster, man. I mean, even this past game, 6 catches for 134 yards, didn't have a touchdown, but that first quarter he was just all over the place making catches and plays.
He had more yards in the first quarter than DPJ had in 7 games.
Yeah, I know, which is wild. With him, too, I know you mentioned Hawkinson at work. I think he's even better than Hawkinson. I mean, Hawkinson's great, but this guy's on a winning team that has a chance to win the AFC North still, barring what happens tomorrow. So, I mean, he might even be a top, I don't know if he's top 3 tight end, but I might have him at number 4.
So what, you'd have Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews over him, and then Njoku?
Yeah, I would say so. But Andrews is kind of hard because he's out for the year, so I kind of disqualify him for this season.
Yeah, if you're just talking this season, then yeah, you could take out Andrews. But if they're talking overall, I think you have to. But, I mean, either way, David Njoku is a guy who's as recent as just a few, like, I think 2-3 seasons ago, could have potentially been traded and not on this roster. And thank God that did not happen. Because he's fucking killing it, man. He leads our team in receptions. He leads our team in touchdown receptions. Obviously, Cooper has the lead in yards. But, I'm really... What I kind of noticed is even without Cooper, obviously once you lose more, it's really tough. But even without Cooper, in that first half, the receiving core, as a whole, still looked pretty good, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I think I even tweeted it out during the game. But with Moore in there, I still like our receiving core a lot. Now, without him, we take a pretty big hit there because Tillman isn't very experienced, obviously, his rookie year here. So with him at the number 1, you're kind of hoping for something good to happen with Coop being out. So I'm just hoping Cooper can get back from whatever heel injury he has that's been ailing him, and then we'll kind of see what they do, whether we do call up Watkins from the practice squad or go out and get an old head like Jarvis Landry to come in and help.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll know better as we get into next week after the new year and after the games have been played this weekend. But, yeah, offense looked pretty good. I thought Jerome Ford had a nice game. Obviously, he still had his kind of rough runs here and there where he either couldn't make anything happen in space or like missed a hole here and there, but I thought he had a pretty good game, had a couple really tough runs. That long touchdown reception where Joe Flacco got his helmet damn near taken off and then he still made that quick pass to him. I mean, he was running through guys.
Yeah, that was a strong run.
Yeah, I think we both tweeted something along the lines in different ways of saying basically that it's like he inherited Nick Chubb's spirit for that game because he was out there, he was running hard and had some big plays, especially like I said on that specific touchdown reception. But yeah, he looked.
Yeah. He's had a couple moments like that this season where like when he gets going downhill, it looks like very reminiscent of Nick Chubb just because he's got the 4 at the end of his jersey number 2. So when he gets ahead of steam, he can move, man. It's just he has to run north-south. He can't be doing this side-to-side nonsense. And for him and Pierre Strong, they both averaged pretty good yards per carry. He was at 5.3. Jerome Ford was for the game, and then Pierre Strong on his 4 carries was at 7.3.
Yeah, I was noticing this as I was kind of reading these numbers, and I was watching a little bit of highlights before we got on here. We were talking about it at work, but I have like a synopsis in my brain of Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong. I hope we keep both of them. Obviously, with Chubb coming back next year, I'm assuming we're not going to have Kareem Hunt. But yeah,
he's gone.
Yeah, I like Ford. I think he's a good threat in the receiving game, and when he gets into space, I mean, he runs pretty hard, and he's got some decent quickness to him and change of direction. He can slip off some tackles. His big problem seems to be that initial, right when you get the carry, trying to navigate the blockers and burst through a hole. That's where it seems like a lot of his negative runs can happen because, like you said, he'll be moving east-west too much, or he'll miss a hole, or he'll see a hole but doesn't just burst through it immediately. He kind of needs that Kareem Hunt mindset. Just as soon as you get the ball, find where you want to go, just go. Whereas Pierre
as
Strong,
a running back, you almost have to pick a lane and just go. You don't really have the time to think.
Yeah, exactly. So if he could improve at that, he could be like pretty damn solid, especially as the backup behind Nick Chubb. And as for Pierre Strong, we've been saying it all year. He's really explosive. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest vision in the world, but he knows where he wants to go with the ball and just explodes. And he's big and he breaks tackles. But he fucking is so careless with the football, and you can tell that's the reason that, Stefanski's hesitating to give him the ball. We were just talking about it at work. It seems like anytime he gets a stretch of touches, he'll make a few plays and, look like the most talented back in the backfield right now. And then he'll just have a shitty fumble or, a drop pass or like even I think he even had a fumble on like a screenplay or like a dropped handoff earlier in the year. Just stupid, careless turnovers. So like if he could clean that up and Ford could clean up his initial burst, inside of the run, we could have still a damn good running back room even next year.
Yeah, man. I mean, if we keep both those guys, I really like we just touched on, I like Pierre Strong a lot still. Jerome Ford, I haven't been the biggest supporter of, but I really like what he did this game. He's had a few other good games. I do like what he's done in the pass game for us quite a bit. So if we can keep the two of these guys and have them backing up Nick Chubb to do different things, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like
with the turnovers too, and we've already talked about this earlier in the season, but not even just the fumbles, but the amount of turnovers that we have as a team. It's crazy, and this is a testament to the coaching and the defense and just the playmakers we have on this team. But with all the turnovers we have, to be 11-5, possibly 12-5, with a chance at the number 1 seed, I mean, it's just a testament to how good this team is, how well Andrew Berry rounded out this team and this roster, and the fact that we can turn over the ball. I mean, Jerome Ford had a turnover that he ended up fumbling and picking it back up. Thankfully, we didn't lose that, but another 3, I believe it was 3 turnovers this game, right? Because the Pierre Strong fumble, another couple interceptions, right?
1 interception from Flacco, the Pierre Strong fumble. I think that was it. I think it was just those 2.
Okay, and then the fumble where Ford almost lost it but got it back. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got stripped going upfield. But yeah, I mean, another 3 turnovers, and it just doesn't seem to make a difference with the defense we have.
Yeah, like we were saying, if we can just clean up the turnovers, like I get it, with Flacco, I kind of expect like an interception a game out of him.
Yeah.
But if we can clean up the fumbles and be safe with the ball, not have any strip sacks or strip fumbles when we're running the ball, whether it's after the pass or on a run. And if we can limit, if Flacco can, cut down the interceptions to, I'll give him 1 a game just because the style of quarterback he's been playing, it'll happen. But if we can clean that up and keep playing great defense, I mean, we've already went over this. We can beat anybody. Yeah, I still hold to that.
Me too. I think that's the key, man. I mean, if you can just clean it up and kind of go take care of the ball. That's been frustrating as a Browns fan because we went from Nick Chubb, a guy who, if he fumbles once a season, we're like, oh, that's weird. He never fumbles the ball. You know what I mean? Then we have guys out here like Ford and Pierre Strong, and even Hunt had a fumble, I think, this season. So it's very uncharacteristic for the Cleveland backfield to have this many fumbles.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I hope we can clean that up. And we were talking about the defense, and this is a testament to the defense. I'm looking at our numbers right now, and I want to dedicate a little small portion here. Obviously, we know how great Myles Garrett is, and Grant Delpit's been having a great year, and all our DBs have been having great years. The D-line's been, has been killing it when they're healthy. Obviously, Obo's been exceeding expectations. Zadarius has come on as of late. But one guy that sticks in my brain that I think has shown the most improvement from a year-to-year basis, especially from last year to this year, that I really hope we pay him and he stays in Cleveland for a long time, is JOK. I really wanted to draft him. Yeah, I really wanted to draft him a couple years ago going out of Notre Dame, and I thought he was going to go in the first round. I remember when we picked him in the second round, I was like, man, if he can just develop correctly and, find that role in this defense, he could be awesome. And, I'm just going to read off the numbers here. Through 16 games played, hasn't missed a game, 72 solo tackles, 29 assisted, that's 101 total, leads the team, 3.5 sacks, 20 tackles for loss. That leads the team and leads the league, I believe. 6 passes defended, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble. He's just all over the place, and he's even been playing the Mike linebacker position over the last few weeks. I had that pointed out to me. I know they were trying Taki at it a bit, and Walker will play it a bit here and there, but JOK has really emerged as, in my opinion, he's kind of starting to get into that tier of like some of the elite off-ball linebackers. He's really been playing like it this year, and as long as he stays healthy and stays consistent with it year to year, as long as he stays here in Cleveland, I think he could end up being, one of the best linebackers we've ever had. I really feel that good about him.
Yeah, so do I, man. I mean, with our defense, we said this weeks ago, and I know I touched on it myself as well, but with Miles being hurt ever since his injury, I really think JOK has been the MVP of this defense. I mean, he's making plays every single game. He's flying around there. He's helping out in the run game. He's filling gaps when he needs to. He had that big play this past Thursday where he lit the dude up behind the line of scrimmage again for another tackle for loss. So, I mean, everything you could have wanted from him this season as far as taking a step forward and progressing, he's done that. So I hope, to gosh, you're right, and I hope we do go forward and pay him and then lock him down, because he can be a stalwart of this defense for the next 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking about it at work. I feel like all 3 of those top 3 corners, JOK, Grant Delpit, and Myles Garrett, I think that's the defensive core, and those guys you need to keep around. Obviously, pieces around them, you want to keep some of the guys we have, but pieces around them, you can fill spots and fill gaps and, work things out. But I really think that's our core defensive guys, and I think as long as we hang on to that and hang on to Jim Schwartz, I think this is going to be a damn good defense for years to come. And it's just been a really awesome year to look back on with all the shitty adversity we've had to deal with, and we're 11-5, could be 12-5, and potentially could win the division and even be the number 1 seed in the conference. Which, if you told me that at the beginning of the year, our quarterback would be Joe Flacco, we wouldn't have Nick Chubb, we'd miss our top 3 tackles, and would just have a plethora of other injuries.
Both safeties are gone.
Yeah, and if you told me we were 11-5 and we were chanting Joe Flacco's name after games, I'd have looked at you like you were fucking an alien, because that
from planet Mars.
Yeah, it just blows my mind what this team has accomplished, and I think that really attests to Kevin Stefanski's leadership and his ability to keep this team together and rally the troops, and even Jim Schwartz as well. And just it's nice to see a Browns organization that seems, obviously outside of ownership, that seems overall like a well-oiled machine that can take anything it throws at you and make things happen. And we said when Watson went down, we were like, man, if we could just squeeze into the playoffs, that's a win. And now we're talking about, well, shit, we still might beat any of these teams, and you never know. And it's just awesome to be in that spot.
It is, man. I mean, I still stand by that, and I'm going to stick by that. It's great that we made the playoffs, so I think anything from here on out is just a cherry on top of the cake, so to say. But I think we have a chance to make a run. I really do. I mean, like you said, outside of ownership, everything we have going right now is great. I mean, everybody in the positions we have as far as coaching right now is the best it's been in years, with Kevin Stefanski, Jim Schwartz out there. I love our O-line coach. Our running backs coach is awesome. I mean, every position you look at, special teams, I really like him too. Like every position we have right now, I think we have a solid group in place. So if you can just keep this coaching core together, I think we're going to be good for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And, I really look forward to
that. And an offensive-minded coach. That's the big thing. In 2023, you need an offensive-minded head coach, and I think we got a damn good one.
Yeah, all the great teams, obviously there's some outliers, but almost all of the great teams in modern NFL have an offensive guy at the top, but they still have a defensive coordinator who can stake his claim in the leadership area as well, and put together a great defense. And you see that with just about every of the top team in the league, outside of like maybe I don't know, like Harbaugh, because I know he's more of a defensive guy. But
yeah,
outside of that, majority of the teams are like that, so that's a big one as well. And
even him though, like he knows the good thing about coaches like that know what their weaknesses and strengths are. Like he brings in guys that can kind of balance that out and help him out on offense, because he is more of a defensive coach. So good coaches know what they do well and what they don't do as well, and they bring in guys to kind of counteract that, which I think we have going on right now.
Right, exactly. And you know, it's just a nice thing to have, man. Like, I'm just thinking about it,
Yeah.
just looking back at the season.
Something wild that I saw last night was when they were watching, I don't know who it was somebody I follow on X, but they were tweeting about the Ohio State debacle. And they're like, if you would have, I never thought I would have said these words, but after the Ohio State 14-3 loss, I'm thinking to myself, well, at least we have the Browns.
Yeah, and that shit would have never ran through our brains 5 years ago.
No, for our entire lives, it's, well, at least we have OSU, at least we have the Buckeyes. Now it's, we have the Brownies.
Yeah, literally, like you said in previous years, it was, well, at least Ohio State's still good, or, well, at least the Indians or Guardians, you know, are playing well, or, oh, at least, you know, the Cavs are looking good, we had LeBron or whatever. But now it's like the Cleveland
Right.
Browns might be the top notch of the, you know, Northeast Ohio major sports teams, and that's something that you never would thought you would say these days, but it's happening, and we have a genuine shot at the 1 seed. And, you know, I'm looking back at these playoff matchups, I'm just looking at them, and, you know, like I said, the only team that really scares me is Miami and Baltimore. And outside of that,
Yeah.
I think we beat everybody, even
And you know
Kansas
how I
City.
feel about Baltimore. I'm not really scared by Baltimore. I said that last episode. They really don't scare me. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I've watched them plenty of times this year, even last a couple weeks ago when they played San Fran. Just something about them. Knowing we've already beat them with a quarterback that had a shoulder that was basically fucking falling apart. Went 14 for 14 in the second half. And with Flacco playing like this, I think our defense now is playing better than it was then, even though we have some guys missing. I'm hoping we can get Obo back, maybe Delpit.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do, I'm not scared of the Ravens. I am a little terrified of Tyreek Hill, because who wouldn't be? I mean, a guy with that kind of speed and hands, that combination is deadly. So that's the
Jalen
only team
Waddle,
I might
too,
be
is
scared
real
of.
fucking good.
Yeah, and their defense is kind of coming on as of late. Their defense isn't nearly as good as Baltimore's is, but that might be the only team that kind of scares me a bit. But even then, man, with this defense we have, like, we're not backing down from anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the moral of the story, and all teams, you know, AFC and NFC, need to know is, you know, if this Browns defense is, you know, playing like they can, and Joe Flacco is, you know, is on, we could beat anybody. We could beat Baltimore. We could beat Miami. I know we could beat Kansas City. You know, and on the flip side, we've already beaten San Fran. We could beat Philly, and, you know, we can beat Detroit. You know, and those are like
We've already beat Baltimore once too.
Yeah. So anything can happen, and I'm really hoping something magical happens, because it'd be real nice. We were talking about Christmas. I was like, I would trade 10 years worth of Christmas presents for a 1 Super Bowl run with this team.
Yeah, it would be absolutely insane, man. I mean, we just saw it Thursday when we clinched the playoffs, how crazy the stadium and the whole city was. Can you imagine if they made a Super Bowl run?
Oh my God!
The only thing that's
like no
killing me
matter
with
where it
this is the fact that we might not get a home playoff game. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
it's possible.
depending where the chips fall, how does everything get reseeded if we win first round? Is it there's a bracket
top
on
seed plays
both
the lowest
top and bottom of the
seed,
AFC?
Yeah, top seed
Okay,
plays
because I
lowest
looked and it
seed.
said last night that it doesn't reseed. Like, you are where you are, and whatever team you play just comes out of whatever bracket you're in.
No, it definitely reseeds.
So we would have to have both teams under us win if we wanted a playoff game.
Yes, unless, you know,
Because
we won the
Baltimore
division.
would get, because Baltimore would get obviously the easiest team, so they'd get the 7 seed if they won.
Yeah, so obviously, like, let's assume if it stays how it is, Miami would play Indy at home. I imagine Miami would beat Indy. Kansas City would play Buffalo.
Yeah, that's
going to
be the problem. Whatever that team is that matches up with Miami, I think, because I think Buffalo has a chance to beat whoever they play.
Yeah, they would play
straight
Kansas
up, to
City
be
right
honest
now,
with you,
which
but-
they could definitely beat Kansas City. So we would have home
it's
field
going to be that
advantage
other
over
team
them.
that's going to be the problem.
Yeah.
Would we match up with them though?
If they make
If
to the
that
AFC
other team
Championship
lost,
game?
if the Colts lost. Oh, they would have to make it all the way there. Okay.
Yeah, unless somehow the Colts,
Which they could
and
do.
Buffalo
I mean,
won.
shit. Yeah, Buffalo can make it there. I mean, they have a chance. Kansas City, it's what a weird time in 2023. I don't think anybody's afraid of Kansas City. I think all the other 6 AFC teams that are making the playoffs are licking their chops hoping they get Kansas City.
Yeah, outside of like whoever wins the AFC South, you know.
Yeah, that's going to be the easiest team outside of Kansas City for sure, because that division's kind of tough anyways.
Yeah, so we'll see what that is. We'll see what that's looking like. But I got high hopes going into the end of the year, and obviously we'll have more info this week on injuries and whatnot. We have to see how Baltimore and Miami goes this Sunday, because if Baltimore wins, rest everybody, or at least limit play time, get everybody ready to go. Or if Miami does beat Baltimore and the division's still out there, you fucking go for it. And I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too. I really hope Mike McDaniel can pull through for us tomorrow, because Lord knows so far every time we've needed a win against Baltimore, it hasn't happened. So we need somebody to come through for us. Why not former Cleveland Brown Mike McDaniel?
Yeah, that'd be sweet. You got anything else you want to add on to here before we jump on out of here? I think we've pretty much said our say.
No, I think we got it all. Go Brownies. Next week might be a little more unstructured and kind of loose, depending on whether we play the starters or not for our pregame and postgame for the Browns.
We just want to get to the playoffs. That's all. We're just trying to get to the playoffs.
Keep an eye out for that, but we will have some more Browns content coming at some point here once the season ends. Probably we'll get some Cavs content out for you guys too.
Yeah.
But as far as right now, 11-5, hopefully 12-5, and go Brownies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, well, we appreciate you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed our thoughts on the Browns and the current iteration of what they're looking like, how the season's been going, because it's been a fun ride and it's only going to continue. And hey, like you said, you never know what can happen, and we will be pushing out content talking about what happens, and it's going to be entertaining one way or the other. But it's been another episode of Cold Takes from the Land. We appreciate you guys for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Cold Takes from the Land.